Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today is bringing the taste of Havana Malecón and the flavors of Miami Calle Ocho to the streets of Orlando, doing it the Cuban way. Please welcome the owners of A Lo Cubano Kitchen, Yojan González and Lisa Plasencia.
Hey, how are you, Biggie? How is everything?
Everything's good, man. I'm glad we got a chance to talk. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. My first question always is, what's your go-to lunch or sandwich? But we're going to go two questions, two versions, okay? When you're not at A Lo Cubano, what is your go-to lunch or sandwich? And then what is the go-to lunch or sandwich at A Lo Cubano when someone comes to eat there?
Okay, my go-to sandwich is a Hinckley sandwich.
Okay.
My favorite is a pastrami on rye. Every time I go, I always go for that. At A Lo Cubano, the pan con lechon. It's my favorite sandwich. I think it's the original Cuban sandwich from Cuba because the Cuban sandwich wasn't made in Cuba. But the pan con lechon is always something that you can find on any corner in Cuba when it's food.
Yeah. No, I get that. I love that. Those are good, and you can't go wrong. You're right. You can't go wrong with Hinkley's, and you can't go wrong. I like your Cuban or your pan con, your pernil. I love the pan con lechon, but you can't really go wrong with either one of them. So I wanted to talk to you about how it all started, because you started A Lo Cubano, the food truck, originally in 2017 with your wife Lisa, and then tell people how it started and what caused you to start to want to do the truck in 2017.
Yes, I moved here to Orlando in 2015 to open a hotel in Golden Oak, and my wife moved that same year. So she was pregnant, and then we started feeling the need of that Cuban Miami food here in Orlando that we didn't. It's not that we didn't find; it was just like or really far, or when we get there, it was not the flavors that we really want to eat. Even though it's not bad, it's just like it wasn't what we want to eat. So we started making. She was making jams and jellies for a long time ago before we start deciding to start doing the croquetas at the farming market. And then I was tired of setting up tents, fryer, oil, and all this stuff on a tent, and say, let's go and let's start with a food truck. That's how we start doing it. The original concept was 100% a croqueta sandwich truck, and then we started changing a little bit on when people didn't understand what croqueta was, and then sometimes I had to explain. I had a croqueta. It was a chicken BLT. It was a chicken croqueta, and then it was in a ciabatta bread. But I had to explain all the time people and then educate people what croqueta was and then what pan con croqueta actually is. So out of frustration, it came what we are right now. The food that we're making, and then what actually is what we want people to eat. The food that we make, because that's the flavor and the experience that we want them to have.
Yeah. How do you explain? Obviously, I know, but how would you explain to someone when someone would come to the truck? How do you explain Cuban flavors to someone who's never tried it?
Cuban flavors are really intense sometimes. It can be like a little overpowering sometimes because it has a lot of seasoning, and then salt is really present in there and garlic, and then people can tend to say, "Oh, this is salty," but it's actually not, because what it is actually has flavor. And then if you don't finish with if you don't season well, you just eating like what, like a piece of cardboard or something, because it doesn't taste like anything.
Yeah. The hard part, how often do you get, and the reason I ask is because how often do you get when someone says to you, "Oh, I don't like it spicy because I don't like," they think it's Mexican. Do you get that? Do you get a lot of people that kind of don't realize that it's not, oh, it's Cuban food. They think it's Mexican food?
Yeah, 100%. All the time we get that, and they say, "Oh, no, I don't eat here because your food is spicy." I say, no, we are not Mexican. Nothing against that.
Yeah.
I really love Mexican food, and then I
Yeah.
love it spicy.
Yeah.
But the Cuban food is not spicy.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up eating spicy food, and then the only spicy that you get is like the little ají chiquitico. They call it ají. It's about word ají de la puta tu madre because it was when you eat it, you say puta tu madre. So it was really really hot, but we never grew up, and it was just that pepper and vinegar and garlic, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it was nothing common on every house to have a spicy food. But we need to adapt sometimes. And then we make my hot sauce, so not so people
Yeah, I
keep you
got something.
spicy. What I
You
will give
also
you
do
is
tacos. You've also done tacos. You've done Cuban food into tacos because you're like, well, if they're going to ask for it, I'm going to give you different versions of it.
yeah, that was that was something that when I started, I said I would never make tacos. But every time that someone come to me, I say, "Do you make tacos?" I say, "No, no, no, I don't make tacos." They just go away. They just walk away, and then all I was seeing was money going away. I say, "Let me, you want tacos? I give you tacos," and then the person that is with you is gonna eat a Cuban sandwich or is gonna eat a pan con lechon. So still, they're gonna get the flavor that I want. You eating a taco in a tortilla? Well, that's what you want. But sometimes they say, "Oh, you have a salsa roja, you have a sour cream." Say, "Oh, we're not Mexican." The farthest I can give you of a Mexican food is a
Is the
tortilla
tortilla.
with my meat inside. That's it.
No, I get that. And I figured that's something that you have to struggle with when people go on when they're coming in and you're competing and talking and people want to know different foods. I want to say you guys have come a really long way. So congratulations because I didn't say it in the intro, but like you have so you pretty much have you're at you pretty much have you're at three different ways that people can enjoy you. Do you have
Yeah, right now.
like the regular truck that shows up at different events and different things like pop-ups and stuff like that. You have a spot at the Great Southern Box Company Food Hall, but then you're also at the Backyard Ocoee as well. So I just want to say congratulations on you
Thank you.
because I know you guys have worked really hard and made a lot of sacrifices to try to find opportunities and places for you to guys to be able to set up and grow. So I'm really excited that you guys have found some opportunities like this. And I kind of wanted you to talk a little bit about those opportunities and the struggles that you had to go with in order for you to get there.
The struggle is fine like rent right now, and then with the prices that are going crazy. And before it was just we hit pandemic. We were trying to find like a good location. We never get to it. So when the opportunity for the southern box pops up, me and my wife we thinking about it and say, I think we have to do it. So we kind of like learn through the process, how to like run restaurant, even though that we both coming from a kitchen, but it's a completely different when you cook. And then when you actually run in the kitchen, you have to deal with employees, you have to deal with a bunch of other stuff that they're not normal when you just a cook.
So, Lisa, thank you so much for also coming on the other half of A Lo Cubano Kitchen. And what I was asking Johan was kind of like what's been like the learning lessons that you guys have had when you go through the whole idea, because I mean you guys have now had some growth in the last probably in the last year and a half. You've been doing it for a while, but now you've kind of like you have different locations and different things. So like what are some of the things that you've learned along the way from that, from having, and I don't know if you heard the question, but like everything from you opening up, you obviously had your food truck. Now you're at, Great Southern Box. Now you're also at the backyard in Ocoee, and I was just kind of curious on like what are some of the things you guys have learned along the way.
There's a lot of balance. It's learning to balance everything. Because at the beginning, the struggles that we went through was Carolina, the nanny was basically with her all the time. They thought the nanny was her mom. So we were never with her. Jan was working insane hours and she wouldn't even come near him, like when he got home. So now when we got the truck, it was more we could create our own time and he could spend more time with the kids and we had more of like that family bond that we created. So we balanced that. And then we've always done the business together. So we we kind of were able to like, we talk about the business at home, but then we also were still with the kids and like hanging out together as like a unit, which was like a big deal because we didn't have that at the beginning.
Yeah. And I know Johan was talking about you guys kind of, and it's true. There is a transition going from, in the sense that you guys were cooks. So basically, you had the cooking aspect of it, and then you guys now are going into, okay, now we're doing the food truck. Food truck's its own little thing, and then now you go to something totally different, which is you opening up the Great Southern Box, and then, and I'm assuming the backyard is kind of like just like running the truck, because you're literally in a spot in using your truck to sell, right? Or is it there a difference there, from the backyard?
It's a mix. It's a mix of like kind of like the food truck in terms of the weather related and how stuff like that. Yeah, it's similar to the truck, but it's kind of like a restaurant. You have your lunch, and then you slow down, and then you have your dinner time. Tuesday, Wednesdays are slow, like everywhere, like things like that. It's more lucky for us that we have the the southern box, and then we have a space there that we can prep, and then we be a little more organized. And but yeah, it is just trying to manage like everything, since we basically do everything. We have our employees that they, without them we wouldn't be able to do anything. So, but we prep, we have to make the order, like the regular stuff that business owners do. Deal with the schedule, trying to find people that nowadays people want to be. It's really hard to find employee. You make a 10 interview, no one show up, and
Yeah, I've
then
heard that
you have
before.
one plan. You have one plan that the following week you gotta have someone to cover the kitchen, so you can do more events and more stuff like that, and then you end up working double in the food hall or in the food truck because that person never show up to work. So I think that's a struggle that the industry is going through right now. I don't know how people are surviving, where people are working, and
People
how
to
they
work.
finding people, because it is really hard.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Johan, I was kind of curious because, so during the time, I know the two of you met working, but I'm kind of curious, Johan, like, what was it like going through culinary school and also learning English at the same time? Like, I can't, like, I
Wait,
think about that. I think about that. Like, you come from Cuba, and then like you're doing culinary school, and you're trying to learn English at the same time, which is like, how did you do that? How?
yeah, it was really hard. It was hard. It was funny, and then it was a lot of struggle. But at the end, I had fun. I have fun because I have people that actually making fun of me. They help me through the process. So I was going to Miami Dade College just for ESOL, for English language, and then in the class, the teacher, not us, like speak English, and then when we went going on break, everybody speaks Spanish. And then one of my friends one day said, "Hey, Le Cordon Bleu is recruiting, students for culinary school." I went to the school, and the only class that they had available was English. And I told the advisor, "I don't speak English. I don't know how I'm gonna do this." "Don't worry, don't worry. You will get through it." The first semester, I failed. I have to do the first semester all over again because I couldn't pass the class. I didn't understand anything. Um, I had a lot of people on that class that they were the same, not like me, but they were Cuban Americans. They were born in Miami, and then they speak English and Spanish. So that's how I started, learning English and then going through the school. I graduated. I finished fine, and then I learned a lot. But when I went to work, I tried to find the job in a hotel. So the executive chef was American, zero Spanish. One of the back chef, he was Cuban American. He helped me a lot trying to, like communicate with others and even with the executive chef. And one of the main guy in the kitchen, the main cooks, he was Indian. Spanish, his English was like really with the big Indian accent. And then every time that I say something, they say English, English. You don't speak in English. So he was making fun of me all the time, but that helped me, to get better and then learn. So that's the only way I learn English, and that's it. I don't think in Spanish anymore. I'm so good.
I love it, man. No, that's amazing. And that's so tough. That's like, that was the reason why I was curious. Cause like when I saw that and I read about that, I was like, I need to ask him because that is such a difficult thing to be able to kind of do. And it like, there's so much, it's like, it's already hard trying to learn something new and then you're learning it, but you don't even understand it. So it's like how, it's like a different whole, it's like a whole nother different language when it comes to cooking and everything like that. I wanted to ask a little bit about when with Cuban food, there's like obviously a strong tradition on how you balance. So I was kind of curious, like, how do you stay true? Because there's some things that you mix it up a little. You put like your own little flavor to some of these. So how do you guys do your twist on a dish, but at the same time keep it traditional?
Yeah, the thing is, I went to culinary school here. I learned how to cook here in the state. So a lot of the flavors that I have is the flavors that I learned from my family, and some of the stuff that we have and the recipe, the black bean recipe that we have is her mom's black bean recipe, and that they've been in her family for years. So those are the stuff that we do. So like getting that twist on the flavor is obviously learning to cook here in the United States and then knowing the ingredients that we cook in Cuba and then how we cook stuff in Cuba. So that's how we kind of stay true to our flavors and then trying to bring some of those a little twist on the ingredients. And then also the thing is this, that you need to understand the food that you make, and then it's kind of like creating a communication. It's something that I have on my mind. It's like kind of a little crazy. You have to communicate with the ingredients and see what the ingredients tell you, what the ingredients need. So because you start putting a bunch of stuff in there, it's not gonna taste right. So you need to learn, like for example, the ropa vieja that we make. We use short ribs. Why we use short ribs is because the threads of the short ribs are shorter than the flank steak. The flank steak is really long. It is really chewy. It gets bored when you eat in ropa vieja and chew the whole time. So to make it a little more fun and interesting, so we make it with short rib. People enjoy it more. Some people say that's not traditional because what I'm making is the food that I want you to eat, and then make the food that I think it made sense at that time. And then for you to enjoy the time, to have a good experience, because if you're gonna go eat and then you're gonna be trying to finish chewing the ropa vieja, you're gonna miss something at some point. Or so that's kind of the stuff that how we do it.
Yeah. Lisa, do you have, since I didn't get to ask you, Lisa, do you have a go-to lunch or sandwich? And then also, what's your go-to at A Lo Cubano?
At A Lo Cubano, I do like the pan con lechon. It's juicy.
Without onion.
Without onions, because I don't like onions. But it is juicy. It's messy. I like it. It's just saucy, juicy, messy. And then if it's outside of us, I really like a French dip. Like, love a French dip.
Where do you get a French? Do you get a French dip in Central Florida?
I mean, I go to Hinckley's to get
that. I was gonna say that's the only one I know of. Is his.
Matt makes a really good one, and I add duck pate to mine, so it's even better.
Okay. You definitely you class it up a little. You class it up a little bit. Where did your love of cooking come from, Yojan?
So necessity bring me kind of like start cooking here. When I was in Cuba, I used to cook for my mom and my dad on their birthday. Nothing crazy, fricassé de pollo, tortilla de papa, like nothing crazy. Maybe picadillo, stuff like that. But it was on a special occasion. But here, necessity, when I moved here to the United States, the necessity put me in the kitchen washing dishes. And then one day someone didn't show up in the kitchen. and then I end up tossing pizza for like 2 years before I went to culinary school. So that's kind of how I start on on the kitchen, and I think it was a great school because you learn when you learn from the beginning, you know how to do everything. Nobody's gonna tell you a story. Oh, you never washed dishes. Yeah, I did, and it's a great school. So that's how I start doing. And then I fell in love. I had great mentors through my career. A lot of great chefs and a lot of great companies that I work for that put in your mind that culture of good cooking and good food, and then that helps you to develop your love for and your passion for cooking. And I don't think that I will do anything else beside cooking.
So what's funny is when I was a kid, and I laugh because I love to cook, so I cook at home. But when I was a kid, my mom would never let me in the kitchen, so I never got to learn. And I know things have changed, but it was just one of those things where I was never let in the kitchen. I was never in the kitchen to learn how to make how my mom makes arroz con pollo, how any of the Cuban culture things. Never got to
I
learn
think
it.
it's a Cuban thing.
What was that?
I think it's a Cuban thing. Don't go to the kitchen; you're gonna get burned. I
Yeah.
think it's a.
It was that. It was like I never learned to do those things, and it bothered me because now it's like because what happens is, and Lisa, you could attest, even like with the black bean recipe, like you can like they give you ask for a recipe for like anybody, but when it's like a family owned recipe, they're like you have to add a little bit more here, and then you're like,
Oh, you put it here,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
is your measurement. I'm like, but
Yeah.
this here is different from your there. Like,
correct,
what is the actual measurement?
exactly.
Sometimes I
What is
call
the
my mom.
measurement? And then like none of it, and then you're like, oh no, you got to taste it. Oh no, the color, it's not right. You got to put a little bit more, and you're like, but how am I supposed to know that? And it's like, oh, because I know. But I'm like, yeah, but that's like you're not really handing it down. I have to like do it almost like 6 times with you to learn how to make it.
That's true.
Yeah, sometimes I call my mom. Hey, Mima, how I make tamal en cazuela. She said, oh, you get the maíz, and then you get this and this, but she doesn't tell you what it is. She just said, you get this, and tú coges esto, y un otro, but Mima, what is esto y lo otro? What is this? Yeah, poquitico, and that's it.
Yeah, it's
So
like a
what it
chef.
is?
And then the other thing I learned and I figured out was because I got when I got married, my wife got a Cuban cookbook, like a traditional Cuban cookbook, so that she could make and then at the end, like we both make it. But then I realized like what happens is some of these traditional meals are not really are traditional, but then they may be different in your house than in my house because like you know what I mean? Like a perfect example, picadillo. Some people put raisins in picadillo and capers and all these things. And in my house, my dad didn't like capers, or I didn't like capers, or I didn't like someone didn't like raisins. So then we didn't get any of those things. So all these people, and then some people put papitas, like little potato in it. And I'm like, well, that's not how I'm like, that's not how I eat it. So every house was different, even though there's like on how you make it.
Yeah, her mom's put capers on the picadillo
And the olives.
and
Oh yeah,
olives.
green
I
olives.
like olives, and then I personally like raisin, but I don't like raisins outside the picadillo, which is weird. So it's different. It's different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's one of those things where I always laugh because I'm like, I look at some of these recipes. Like, I'll give you like, I'm just kind of curious. When you guys have arroz con pollo, do you have it with like, are there bones in the arroz con pollo? Like, some people put it all in la cazuela and they cook it, or do you like debone the chicken and then put it with the rice?
I use boneless chicken thigh because that's what I have in the restaurant.
Yeah, that's what I like.
I have to make it at home. I make it with leg and thigh and with bones. Some people cut it in pieces, and then I like it whole because I like to add pick the whole the bone and then eat it. So it's just it, in Cuban food is nothing like set in the stone. Say, oh, it has to be like this.
Yeah.
As far as the flavors are there, it's right.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's and I think that's kind of the big thing. That's always the hard part when it goes with that. How have you been able to, because the distance between Ocoee and what you call it, the Great Southern Box is kind of, there's a distance there. How have you guys been able to right? 25 minutes. How have you guys been able to figure that part out, like the balance of that? Because you have like all these, because they're also all both open around the same time. And then at the same time, you have to do the truck. So like, how have you, and I know we've talked about like the idea of having people, the right people in place, but how have you guys been able to balance that? Because that is like, I just like, it's got to be so tough to be able to figure out like, okay, like is like, Lisa, are you at one, Yohan's at another? Like, how do you guys work that?
Yeah,
we go back and forth.
Yeah, we go back and forth.
And then there's a lot of errand running.
Yeah, some days we're like that, and then we're lucky enough to have a good people that they take care of the of our restaurant like if their own, and we trust them. So that's I think that's very important to have the right people to work with you and to help you, because without them you cannot grow. We've been lucky to have them, but it's always something. It's always, oh, I'm running out of like a steak and the food truck. Go to the food hall, bring it back. Oh, we
need to go boxes.
We need to go boxes. We need to go, always something. So we try to plan our week, like our day off is on Mondays, and then on Monday that's when I have to make the orders for Tuesdays and Wednesdays to come on time. So it's not a day off, but we try to plan our week that way, so we minimize the amount of time that we have to run errands. Also, that we have Restaurant Dip around the corner, so it's like 5 minutes from the food hall, so which is great. So when you forget something, you just run over there pretty quick and then you get it. So which is pretty convenient. But we live in Groveland.
Okay.
So it's only one trip out. So we exit, and then when we come back, it's because we're coming back home. It's not that we go and then we go home and then we have to go back. It's only one time. You go, you do everything, and then if you have to stay till 10, you stay till late, but you're not coming back home.
And then is the truck is the truck that goes to different events, is that somewhere else, like more central, so it's not in Groveland, so you're not driving it from Groveland? Or
it's parked near us, so it's parked in Claremont. But when we're going, like now we're going to start Southern Hill Farms, starts this weekend, and it's going to go up until November 23rd. So like now it leaves Claremont on Friday night and it'll come back on Sunday, because it'll sleep at the farm. So it'll be there until Thanksgiving, with a couple of other things that I've got him doing in between.
Yeah, and usually the good thing about food trucks, like they run around, is that events are short.
Yeah.
It's not that you out the whole day. If you have a lunch is from 11 to 2. So you get to the location an hour before, an hour and a half before. You set up, you do the service, and then at 3 o'clock, 3:30, you back at the yard parking the food truck. So
or when you take it to the food hall and park it in the back,
or take it to the food hall because
we have to switch.
Because I have to switch because I have to cover the night shift. But it's good. It's good to have 3 locations. As more people can have your food, can see what you do, and we love it. I love to be busy. I cannot stay home. I will go crazy.
So with your croquetas, one of the things that I appreciate is that you guys make them round. Is that because instead of like the traditional longish version, is a lot of that is just because it makes it easier, right, to be able to produce and make? Do you have you made any weird, like, twisted versions of a croqueta? Like, what's been the one that you've kind of done that's like a little bit different than a traditional croqueta that usually? And then tell people what a croqueta is, because a lot of people may not know what that is. How would you describe it? It's a croquette.
Croquette
is base of a.
No, what I used to tell people on the truck whenever they asked what a croqueta was is, imagine a mozzarella stick Nachi is it's a meat stick, and it's just ground up ham, and it's delicious. It's fried goodness that they have to try.
Yeah, it's
But it's the
kinda
best
like
way
that.
to get Americans to understand it's like a mozzarella stick,
Yeah,
just a
Yeah,
meat stick. Which
it's a good
sounds
idea.
gross, but they like.
Yeah,
and
no, it's
then
delicious.
the chicken and truffle is one of the
That was so
the
good.
classic one. It was a pain to make it because it was a really long process. It was a chicken confit, so you had to confit the chicken in olive oil, and then
The
like break it
truffle.
down, shave the truffle. It was it was
It was so good
it
though.
was really good. That's one of the chicken sandwich that we used to make. The chicken BLT. It was with that croqueta. It was great. I think
It
I
was
should
time
have
consuming,
I
but
should
you
bring it
should bring
back
it back.
as for a special.
What so right now is ham the only croqueta that's available, or what else is
Yeah,
available?
the
Right
ham, and
now,
then I make a
chorizo.
That's
chorizo and
right.
cheese. Yeah,
That's right.
I make it.
That one
So
comes around more often than the other ones because he used to do a bunch, and I think there was a
the
spinach one, there was a mushroom,
yeah, there was the mushroom croquette.
the
It was the
bacon was
bacon and
good.
ham, chicken and truffle, and the uh, chorizo and cheese.
Wow. Wow. No,
We
they're
used to.
delicious. You guys really make some delicious food. And that's one of the reasons why I've been wanting to have you guys on, because I just like I love your story. You guys are one of my favorite places to get Cuban food whenever, especially when I want a Cuban sandwich. You're one of the places that I go to. So it's and then what I like to do is I'll put my own plug when you're going to do it. You have to I call it el último cubano, which is I ask him to put dos croquetas inside the Cuban sandwich, so that way I get a little extra meat in there. But it's delicious.
I got someone to do that at the food hall and add the croquetas, but then I also had them add a fried egg on each side of the Cuban.
That's good.
Whoa,
It's good, oozy goodness.
that sounds delicious. I love that. I love that. What advice would you give someone wanting to start something?
Just start. Just start. Don't sometimes you put more like pedals in your head than what actually is. It is really hard. It is that it's gonna cost time and money. Yeah, it is. But what if you are super successful and then you didn't try? You're gonna miss all that. No, just start whatever you want to do. Even if you want to like paint walls, just start. Handing cars. Hey, I paint wall. Maybe you are the greatest painter in the city. So just don't think it. Just have a good plan of what you want to do, and then stick to that. Not start jumping around and then going here and here trying to find
To please everyone
like
else.
to please everybody. Stick where you want, and then your concept and your idea, and then push that. And at the end, I think that's what that's what we have been doing. You know, we've been sticking only to doing the Cuban food that we want to eat and we want you to eat, and then I think that's the what people are being liking from us.
Lisa, you got anything to add to that?
No, I mean it's true. We do stick to what you know, stick to what you want to do. We did because we were told a lot that we weren't going to make it unless we did Puerto Rican food because everyone in Orlando is Puerto Rican. So unless we did mofongo, we weren't going to survive. We weren't going to make it, and we stuck to our Cuban roots. And it's been 8 years. It's
I
still
know.
here.
At what point did you guys think? Have you got? Well, I'll ask the question, and I'm kind of curious. Is there a point that you guys reached, or something that happened that you're like, yeah, like this is gonna work. We're doing it. Like we made it, or it's like this is the aha, like kind of like the aha moment of like, yes, I think we got this. Like we're gonna be okay. Has there been a moment that kind of hit like that?
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Every day is something different, and then I don't. That's personal. That's how I am. I don't like to feel that I am on a comfort zone, that I think that I did it all, that I'm all set, that people come to me because, I'm the best Cuban. No, I just try to every day make the best food I can and like treat people and then give the best service that I can, and then if they come back, I'm grateful for them to coming back to eat our food. And then, maybe I'll say, oh, my pick was, I don't know, like 2 years ago. Maybe tomorrow I have to close because nobody else come to eat from us. So, I think I learned through all this year to stay humble, even though that sometimes it's hard for me, for a Cuban, to be humble because we're the best. So, but it is. I try to stay help people that want advice, as much as I can, and that's that's all. Give them give them the best food that I can make, and that's it. But every day is something different. Every day, something new. You learn something, and then hopefully that day we maybe when I have a thing a lo cubano, I can say, "Oh, I reached the peak when I was at 6." But we still grinding, working hard, and staying true to a lo cubano kitchen food.
Too.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Grateful because we have like returning customers, which is amazing because we know them by name and they always come and they send us pictures and they know our kids' names and it's amazing. So that's like a really cool experience that we have that connection with just these random people we met making food for them.
And we even have friends that we know from the food truck.
Yeah.
That like we met them at an event, and they have become our friends, like us. We met at an event.
Yeah.
And then we always stay in touch.
Yeah. No, I love you guys. And that's one of the reasons, like, I love it because I know, and I've seen when we've talked, like the idea of like you guys trying to find that one, like that spot, like the next spot of like trying to find the spot. And then like, will it be a spot that I could go to be able to kind of grow this and take the next thing? And the beauty of it is, I mean, I do think that you're kind of, you found some good locations and now it's just kind of building from it. And if anything, you're learning from those locations to kind of help you go to whatever the next thing is. And that's always but I think to me, like, I laugh because you say you're how most Cubans, I could definitely say that I am the whitest Cuban because of the fact that like my whole thing is like, you know what I mean? Like I'm very like, one, no one knows I'm Cuban ever. They always think I'm Italian. And two, I'm the most humble of humbles because I don't like, people will be like, you made it, like you're so successful. I'm like, I'm not successful. I'm still just trying to figure this out. I'm never there. And it's not that I don't think I'm good enough or it's not good enough. I think it's just one of those things where you're just kind of like, I don't know, like there's just more to be done. And it's like kind of like that. Like, like there's just more to be done. I'm like, I don't know. That's why I appreciate your answer of, hey, maybe when I'm at 6, I'll appreciate and say, hey, I'm getting 6 locations. I'm like, I'm going to get to 10. Like, I don't know what it is. You just keep going and trying to make it better.
Yeah. That's what we're trying. We're trying to
compete with ourselves.
Yeah. To have fun through the process and learn as much as we can. So on the next one, we don't make the same mistake that we make on this one. That's the most important thing, I think, on this industry, is to learn and have fun. Because if you're working and then you're not having fun, so what are you doing it for? You better do something else.
Yeah. No, I agree. Where can people follow you? Where can they go? Give the names of the places. They're going to be in the show notes, but if as they're listening and they're looking on their phones, what's like the Instagrams? What's the, give them the details so that they can give you a follow, especially if they're probably hungry for a croqueta or pan con lechon or a Cuban sandwich, ropa vieja, croqueta, you name it. They got something for you.
So Facebook and Instagram is both at A Lo Cubano Kitchen. When the OG truck is running, I'll post the schedule and let everybody know where it's going to be. You can always also GM and you'll get a response back to try and figure out, oh, are you out this weekend or where can we find you? And I'll, like the times of where we are, because the Great Southern Box is Sunday through Thursday from 11 to 8 p.m., but we're closed on Mondays, and then Friday, Saturday from 11 to 10 p.m. And then the backyard in Ocoee is from 11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, also closed on Monday, so it's a great thing. And then Friday and Saturday is from 11:30 to 10. So we're always like around. We're always available. And then now starting September 27th, we're going to be at Southern Hill Farms from 11 to 8.
On Saturdays.
From 11 to 8 on Saturdays and 11 to 7 on Sundays from September 27th to November 23rd.
Yeah, make sure you get your tickets because it's a ticket event.
Oh, it's a ticketed event.
Yes,
it's ticketed, but it's so much fun because it has the pumpkin patch and the kids zone and the rides and their apple cider donuts and of course us.
Are you going to make something? Are you going to have like a special fall version, like a fall thing, any fall special at that location food wise?
Maybe. Working on things.
Okay. I like that. Thank you guys so much, Lisa and Yojan, for being on. I really appreciate it. You guys are great, and I'm super excited, super proud of what you guys have done. That's our show for today. Thank you so much again to Lisa, Yojan from A Lo Cubano Kitchen for being on and having lunch with me and during a lunch break. Make sure to check them out online. If you're hungry, you got definitely lots of locations, so no excuses. If you go, I want to see a selfie. I want you to tell me what you ordered, tell me what you liked, tell me, and then, and if you don't know what to get, just ask them. They'll recommend something to you depending on what you're in the mood for. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe. If you want to support me, check out my brand, Deli Fresh Threads. And obviously, thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.